Hi guys, I'm Paige and I have an exam tomorrow. Just kidding. I don't. But if I did, I would know what to do. So here are some last minute study tips for the day before your exam so that you can pass that exam tomorrow and get those good grades that you so very well deserve. Tension's high, pressure's on, the clock is ticking. It's nerve-wracking. You're allowed to be nervous. And you're sitting there thinking, what the heck do I even know? Don't panic. You've got this. You don't need to know everything, but today is the day to be honest with yourself. We're going to break it down step by step so that you're not just scrambling, but you're moving with a purpose. Let's dive in. And comment down below if these study tips helped you. Study tip number 1, the blurt. This is personally my favorite thing to do to prepare for exams. I use it all the time. I used it all throughout high school and I've used it all throughout university. Everything that you think might be on the test, formulas, maths equations, biology, anatomy, anything like that, literally whatever subject you're learning, can even be like an English subject and you're learning different literary devices, I don't know, it can literally be whatever. Regurgitate that onto that piece of paper. Be 100% honest with yourself here, because this is your starting point. This is where we figure out how much do you know and how much do we need to revisit, how much do we need to learn today, how much do we need to focus on. I've got an example. I haven't been to high school since 2021, so I wanted to see if I still remembered anything from chemistry, year 12 A-level chemistry. I took a piece of paper, set a timer for 30 minutes, and then proceeded with a little cheat sheet for trigger words, atomic structure, bonding and structure, amount of substance, etc., little trigger words. I then regurgitated all this information onto the piece of paper, and it has been 4 years since I've done this subject. So that's just to show you. I'm sure I missed probably a lot, but this is what I've got, and I filled up that whole page. And then afterwards, as you can see, I went through it again, and in pink pen, which any color you like really, but in pink pen for me, which is just the one that I happen to have, I went and wrote the stuff that I knew I had forgotten. And in there, if I did not know anything, I could have probably just put a question mark next to it. Like if I didn't remember anything from that topic, I could just put a question mark next to it and moved on and carried on with the 30 minutes. But this is a brilliant technique, because then I can go, okay, and in the pink pen or whatever color pen you have, I didn't know that. I should learn that. Why didn't I know that? And you can start asking yourself these questions, kind of Socratic questioning, and then figure out how to best learn that and how to relate it to all the other information on your blurt. This is a really cool thing, because when you do this a couple of times, eventually you start to summarize the information naturally, and you get the really important points out of it. Your brain starts to organize it for you. And you also start to see the connection between the different topics that you're learning and how they will interconnect, which is very important for an exam. Tip number 2, practice tests. Practice tests, practice tests, practice tests. I cannot enforce that enough. This is a loophole into figuring out what you're going to be tested, what it's going to look like. This is your gateway into knowing how you're going to do tomorrow. Practice tests. You only have a couple of hours, so I would say if practice tests are about 2 hours long, I would say try to do 2 at least. You can compare them and see, okay, what did I do better in this one? What did I do better in this one? And go from there. Take it like it's the real thing. Sit down at a desk with no distractions, put a timer on, and actually take the test. Trust me, this is practice for the real thing. And there's a lot of nerves that come along with taking an exam. You want to try and get those under control too. This is your baseline. Are you passing? Great, that means you're on track. Look at each question. See, did I struggle with this? What could I have done better? Is it a certain topic? Is it a specific question? Once you identify these, you know exactly what you need to brush up on. I did at least 2 practice tests before each of my exams, and I will tell you, the results in the practice tests were and a couple of the times I failed those practice tests. But then I learned exactly what I needed to work on. Like if it was differential calculus, then I could work on differential calculus and figure out why was I not passing that section of the test. If I was really doing well in one section and really not doing well in another section, I could figure that out. It makes it really, really easy for you to have a look into how your brain is functioning. Where do you stand? What do you need to focus on? And move on from there. Look at the learning objectives or the syllabus. This is your roadmap. This is what your teacher or your lecturer or whoever has given you to be able to then study for this test, right? Or at the start of the year, they've given you a syllabus. You can use that. Learning objectives are huge. If you've got a list of those or can get a list of those, focus on them. Don't just glance at it. Dive into each topic. If you look at each learning objective, can you tick them off? Can you literally say, I can do this. I can teach myself this subject. If you can, awesome. Then you're in good shape. But if there's something you can't summarize to a good enough level, or explain, now you know exactly what you need to dive deeper into. This is your focused area of improvement. Break down what you don't understand yet and make that your target for the next few hours. Be strategic about your time here. You don't want to spend too much time looking at learning objectives. You just want to know if you can summarize them, tick it off. If you can't, try to figure out a way to summarize it. ChatGPT is really, really good for this. I used to just chuck my learning objectives into ChatGPT and ask it to make summarized study notes for me, and it would explain it all, and then I would figure out, okay, now I can explain it like that, and then I could move on. So helpful. That moves on into the next point, actually, which is tip number 4. Use ChatGPT. I wish ChatGPT was around when I was in high school. I would have used that. My God, I use it now. I'm in uni. I use it all the time to summarize topics, to teach things to me, to get good websites for certain assignments and stuff. This is your lifeline sometimes. This tool is like having a tutor at your fingertips, ready to break things down in a way that you can understand. If you're struggling with a complex concept, ask it, explain this to me like I'm 5. It'll break it down really, really well. And I personally really like to ask it to then relate it to a more scientific or a more grown-up version of what it is, because then you can see the difference. You can see how that relates to what you're currently learning. Even better yet, if you don't have practice tests or you want a shortened version of a practice test because you don't have that much time, ask it to do that for you. Ask it to make practice questions that you might get in A-level chemistry or in year 12 stage 2 math methods, depending on where you're from. I don't know. I'm trying to appeal to all countries here. Don't just read what it says. Make sure you understand the explanation. Ask it to make sure you understand the explanation. This is about the process. It's not about the answer. You want to continuously be curious and ask why. Why does that connect to that? Why does that answer do that? How do I get to that answer? The minute you start making these interconnections, especially between the topics in your test, it becomes a whole lot easier. Trust me. Tip number 5, prioritize your mental and physical health. This is going to be a long day. You're going to study for about 8 hours, right? You're going to be doing practice tests. You're going to be looking up new concepts. You're going to be working really, really hard. Your brain is a muscle, and just like everything else, it needs rest. If you don't take care of yourself, all the hard work that you're doing today will just go away. It won't even register in your brain. It'll go in one ear and out the other. Trust me. Same thing with eating. Eat a nutritious meal. Drink lots of water. Go outside for 10 minutes at least once every 2 hours if you can. Just like for a nice little walk maybe, or walk around the garden, or stand outside and listen to the birds. I don't give a shit, okay? Just get out there, give your brain a break, and then you can come back. If you're running on empty, you will crash. If you stay up all night to study, the next day, tomorrow morning, you will not remember a thing. I can promise you that. That is a fact. This is not a waste of time. Taking care of yourself is not a waste of time. A full night's sleep is not a waste of time. It's investing in your ability to do well tomorrow and during your study session. You can do this. Number 6 is just repeat the process, right? I know I said 5 tips, but 5 tips plus repeat it, right? Blurt it out. Practice tests, learning objectives, mental health. I would do a practice test, figure out what I got wrong in the practice test, and then I would go to my learning objectives and I would Google Google or ChatGPT to figure out, okay, what did I miss? I would get some more answers. I would look through my study notes, figure out what happened, why did I get that question wrong, and then I would read it all again, and then I would blurt again and see if I can maybe remember it, put it on my blurt sheet. Then slowly you start to remember things more and more and more, because you're doing a sort of spaced repetition thing where you're doing blurting, you're doing a practice test, and then you're doing learning objectives, and then you're coming back to it. You're doing that constant recurrence of information, so it's getting registered in your brain. And lastly, when the night is over, rest and recharge. Give yourself an hour or two, hour and a half if you can, before bedtime to just chill. Watch some TV. Let your brain have that chill time. You deserve it. Clock's winding down. It's time to rest. If you know that your brain is going to be awake for hours before you can fall asleep, account for that. I always had that the day before an exam. I could not fall asleep because my brain was just on fire, right? So I would go to bed earlier on purpose to allow my brain to do that while still resting, and then I can fall asleep at a reasonable time. On exam nights, I used to go to bed like 9 p.m. I still do, like 9 p.m. And then I'm awake for like 2 hours. I just lie there for 2 hours. And then eventually I fall asleep at about 11. And then you have a good night's sleep after that because you've rested, you've allowed your brain to have a break, you've studied really hard today, and you should be so proud of yourself for that. You have done such a good job. You've eaten well, you've studied, you have tried your absolute hardest today to do everything you can in your power to get that information in your head. Remember that no matter what happens tomorrow, you deserve to be proud of yourself. You have worked your ass off, okay? Come out of that exam and be grateful. Be proud of yourself. Allow yourself to be happy that it's over, but also very proud that you worked hard. And no matter what that result comes out as, I'm sure it's going to be fine, but no matter what it comes out as, you've done a really good job, and I'm proud of you. Tomorrow is just another step in the journey. You've prepared for it. You're ready. So take a deep breath, let it go, get the rest you deserve. You've got this. I wish you all the best of luck for your exams tomorrow. I hope this video helped you in some way. Comment down below if it did, and I'll see you later.
If you liked this video, feel free to check out these ones too, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Thanks guys, I upload every Tuesday and sometimes on Fridays too. Have a great day!